I'm Philip Goad. I'm Professor of Architecture at the University of Melbourne and Director of the Melbourne School of Design.
And I'm John Gollings, and Melbourne University is my alma mater. We were asked to talk about the relationship between photography and architecture.
And in combination with the exhibition that's happening here at the moment at the State Library of Victoria about post-war photography, post-war photographers, I should say, in Melbourne.
Excellent. So I'll ask both of you. Do you think that there are shared qualities between architects and photographers specifically?
I think John probably should answer that, having he trained as an architect and then became a photographer.
Yes, they're both commercial arts. We're both a whim of our client. They are both very frustrating and very difficult. Everyone wants to be an architect or an architectural photographer. It's probably the worst two professions they could ever go into.
Why is that?
Because there is so much competition. It's very hard on the ego, and the chances to actually do something brilliant are very few and far between.
But they clearly do happen.
They do, and as a result you have iconic buildings being known through essentially iconic photographs, and really the photographer has a huge role to play in what makes a building famous, notorious, loved, known around the world. What keeps me excited about architecture is, in Melbourne, the culture about architecture. You've got amazingly good architects who don't practice in all the same way. And I think that makes for a lively discourse and a preparedness to be critical and to like and hate.
And to put it all out there, especially compared to Sydney, which is safe and conventional and developer-led. Here, for some reason, perhaps the climate, we've just been much more adventurous.
And I think it's about being a city that has only itself to reflect upon. You don't have to reflect upon the harbour or a magnificent landscape or a beautiful climate like Brisbane. We're cold and we don't mind. And
So
you have to reflect on the city.
What is the most important thing that you tell your students?
One of the most important things is you can't substitute the image for experience. Sorry, John.
No, that's fine. I'm going to argue tonight that the two have got nothing to do with each other.
Oh, good.
And then I guess, as an architecture student, what do you think was the most important thing that you took away and then maybe apply or has shaped your photography practice?
I'm probably of my time. I can't get away from form following function as the best rationale for designing buildings. I look askance at the rationales that some of the young modern architects are bringing to bear. I think it's got nothing to do with designing a good building. And the other one is discipline, mathematical rigour in the design of the buildings and rigour in the composition of the photographs of them.
I know that you did some work with Ansel Adams. How did that how did your discipline and the things that you took away from your architecture studies, how did he expand on those, teach you new things? What was the most important thing you learned from him?
I think it was to be true to your own vision and to be a workaholic. What most impressed me was that, like me, he just worked 24/7 and was obsessive about his photography and his own personal relationship with all the other artists in America. And it was that amazing insight. I mean, he would show me the letters and the paintings and the gifts and the communication he had on a daily basis with people like Georgia O'Keeffe. And he was just totally entrenched in a world of art and design. And it was encouraging to see, and you just want to emulate it.
Is there that kind of community in the architectural, or in Melbourne's architectural scene?
Of course. You know, we have living national treasures. There's no doubt in the architectural community in Melbourne, and I think John's right. One of the great things are people who totally immerse themselves in the culture and who are prepared to hand on knowledge to others, and there are a lot of them. You could name them in Melbourne, from people who are still practicing like Neil Clerihan to much younger architects like Wood Marsh, who also practicing.
Corrigan, Peter Mac.
Peter Corrigan, Peter
all
McIntyre.
of them crazy eccentrics.
Yes.
But that's the pleasure, and it's yes, I've learnt you almost can't overstate your case. It's and these wonderful other people really put it out there.
And they don't stop working. Seriously, they don't stop.